This is the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We're jumping into the Patriot Fan Zone here as we speak. Joe Sexton was out there running for dog catcher or something.
That's what I do.
That's what he does.
I like to talk to people.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. This is Koleman Hendrix. Tight end? What else?
Play a little bit of DN, but strictly tight end right now.
Be proud of being a tight end. There's not many of us that can proudly say that. So Coach and I, just to warn you, I joked with him that he was running for dog catcher. If we start straying off into some weird subjects, you can kick one of us to get us back into.
Yeah, sometimes we do that.
Yeah, we'll try to keep it. Now I will mention I met your grandpa. I don't know if Coach told you that.
Really?
I went and spoke at a thing, and Grandpa came up to me, and that is a proud grandpa. He was talking about you and your big brother.
Yes, sir.
And what he kept saying is, "Now you watch the young one. You watch the young one." I said, "Is he little brother?" He goes, "He's not little."
I'm kind of wondering what this one's going to look like when that weight starts.
Get some of Big Brother's physique. Now, are you the youngest, Coleman?
Yes, sir, I am. Youngest of two.
Okay. And Big Brother is at Texas Tech, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did he get to get on the field the other day for that one?
No, sir.
So he
played versus North Texas, but that's the only one.
Okay. He's kind of waiting his turn, which in college football, it's a whole different world.
I went to the Baylor game, and I saw him at the Baylor game, and saw him down on the field, and he is definitely sized up a little bit since he was at Lubbock Cooper.
Well, Coach needs to start feeding you guys what they used to at Lubbock Cooper, because there's Kobe, there's Kyler, there's your brother. Those guys eat well.
Yes,
they eat well
do.
Before they left here. They got to get you Liberty guys on that dining plan.
Yeah, we need some of that size for sure.
Well, I bet it'll show up. You got a little bit sitting right here.
It will.
You're just a freshman, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought. Somebody covered a game for me, and your number wasn't on the roster. And I said, "There's a big kid out there. He's catching passes." I said, "That's Koleman Hendrix." Yep. I didn't need the roster in front of me.
Big number 80.
Yep. So you've adjusted quite well. Now you're a basketball guy too, right?
Yes, sir.
Coach may not like me mentioning that right off the bat,
no.
but that's when I met you this summer. We talked a little bit about basketball, because I know Coach Hicks is excited to. Not that he wants you guys to play as long as possible, Joe.
Oh, he does.
But he's excited to get you out there in basketball season too.
Yes, sir. It'll be a fun season.
Well, you have some bodies coming back there, but we're going to talk about football, because this week there's a lot on the line. I was just mentioning to Jay Northcutt, because District 2-6A is a little bit like you guys. They've got one friendship, has a chance to clinch it outright, and then everybody else they're either in the playoffs or they're trying to figure out who's going where. Right. We talked about this earlier today, Joe. Estacado's clinched the district championship, and they're off. The other four teams are all 1 and 2, and all of you could either finish second or check in your equipment.
Or not. So, yeah, it's that's something that, there's a lot of different scenarios that could possibly play out. What have we talked about all week long?
You win, you're in.
We're going to win, we're in. So that's the only thing that we're focused on, and that's it.
Well, Chuck Hines, whose office is right there when you walk in, my fellow Chiefs and Jayhawks and Kansas City Royals fan, I don't know why, he just texted me out of the blue and said, what's Liberty got to do to get to the playoffs? And my answer was, before I talked to you, I said their best path is to just win.
Just win. Just win, baby.
That's we overused Al Davis' quote a couple of weeks ago with a couple teams, but you guys are the one this week that's all you got to focus on.
That's it, and that's all. I really don't like to have to need help from other people, so that's why we're just going to focus on us. And
that's kind of the golfer's mentality. Coach was a state champion golf coach.
I did.
He didn't like to talk about it much.
No, we don't need to talk about that.
Coleman, knowing that it's that simple for you guys going in, you don't have to worry about math. You don't have to. It's just, if you guys can take care of business, you get to play, keep playing.
Yes,
how meaningful is that to you?
I mean, it really changed the mindset of our practice this week. I feel like it was more locked in, more intense, and just really focusing on that one win, secure our playoff spot. It'd be nice.
And a lot of that has to do with the way you guys opened your district. You got that first district win and played really well against Perryton, found a way to win. Haven't gone your way the last couple of games, but Coach and I talked about that. There's been little pieces of every game, a bigger piece against Estacado. Coach talked about it a lot earlier today. Let me get you guys for 3 quarters stood there with a really good football team, toe-to-toe, had the lead. What do you take away from that? You want to get the win, but what do you take away from the way you guys played?
I mean, I really just feel like it was a big team booster for us. I mean, going into that game with, they have a lot of really good players over there, and we held our own with them. And I feel like our team's benefited off that. And then obviously Colton getting hurt, that changed
the dynamic a little bit. So you're a tight end who catches passes. You're going to have a new, most likely going to have a different quarterback this week.
Yes, sir.
How do you get ready for that, knowing that you've got built some rapport with Colton? How do you quickly build that with a new guy?
So my first 3 games, I was on JV, and Cy was actually my quarterback.
Okay.
But, I mean, other than that, we've gone up to the school a couple times, run some routes, and I feel like our receivers are just, trusting him. I mean, we have full confidence in him. He's going to do his thing.
No doubt.
You kept him on JV for 3 games? Jeez.
Well, when you come straight out of 8th grade, you kind of want to.
It's a little bit of different world.
Yeah, we kind of want to get them, get the feet wet just a little bit, and it was kind of funny. A lot of the coaches in the coaches' office were like, "What are we doing here?" I was like, I got a plan, And then, some of them have kind of come up a little bit as we've gone. We've got J.J. Thompson up with us, and
who's also made some plays.
Yeah. He had a great play the other night out of the backfield, and you never know what wrinkles are going to come out of Coach Newton's bag.
Well, you may need a few of those. You may not, depending on the weather too. We're going to talk a little bit about that. The forecast. Liberty goes out to Levelland, and I still haven't found a different name, so we're going to call it Lobo Stadium out in Levelland. That's on 93.1 Yes FM. Just like Liberty, the Lobos win and they're in. I'm not sure what their situation is if Liberty gets the win. If Levelland's, they may even be more desperate if that's possible. So we'll talk more about that game coming up. We'll talk a little bit about the Estacado game because there was some good fruit to pick off the vine from that one. We'll be back on the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down Liberty sports. This is the Patriot Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We were just talking about the Liberty volleyball girls who opened the playoffs with a very impressive win against Brock last night in the 4A Division II by-district round. I was down in Abilene for that. That's a good team, Joe. We've known that from day one.
Oh yeah, they set the mark for us all last year, and coming out and doing what they did. It's a pretty fun group to watch. They're and it's even more fun sometimes to watch Coach Anderson work on the sidelines.
Oh yes, the only thing better than that is watching Morgan Glaspie.
Yeah. We've got a couple of girls coaches they can get fired up pretty quick, and
we just talked to Taylor Bullen about what is it that makes West Texas girls basketball tick, and Morgan and Caitlin, even though it's a different sport, they are really good examples of that energy and emotion. And
you talk about how competitive football coaches are, and we don't like to lose, but I tell you, those two, getting to coach Anderson in high school, she was a fireball back then, kind of like she is now.
Yep, and she's got a little bit of a juggernaut going. Let me run through the football schedule on the radio here before we get too far away. Thursday night, Monterey goes up to Amarillo, plays Caprock at 7 p.m. That's on 93.7 The Eagle. Plainsmen are trying to secure the number 1 seed out of that district. They're already playoff bound, have a chance to tie for the district championship. Friendship is at home against San Angelo Central on Double T 97.3 FM. The Tigers are trying to win the outright District 2 6A championship for the first time ever. These Patriots go to Levelland, take on the Lobos in a win and you're in playoff scenario. That's on 93.1 Yes FM. Coronado and Lubbock High wrap up the season against each other. That's on 96.9 The Bull. and Idalou is at home against Muleshoe. Wildcats are trying to lock up a district championship outright, which Joe may know this. That's like dog bites man there. That's not breaking news. Idalou does that a lot.
Yeah, so. They're pretty good over there at a lot of stuff. They were really good in basketball last year. And
you guys saw Idalou this year, so I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah, we saw them up close.
That's on Sunday 97.7 FM. I mentioned the Patriots and Levelland go at it Friday night. We'll come back to that in just a little bit. Estacado, you guys get the big run to start the night. Talon Wilcox, who's begun having a knack for that. He gives that little man a crease. He's going to get through it.
Yeah, that's a great thing about him. And our offensive linemen love blocking for him because it doesn't take much. I mean, you don't have to have a huge hole for him to get through. And first play from scrimmage, he takes it to the house, and that was. And I was trying to chase him down the sideline. Of course, I wasn't gaining on him very much, but it sure was fun to watch him go.
You got to be careful. Coach and I are about the same age. So I know what would happen if I tried to do that. And
it was, you don't even think about it at the time.
Right.
One of the guys I used to work for a long time started running down the sidelines, and I think he popped a calf, and
didn't want the players to know it.
No, you don't want to show that you're hurt. So, but it was fun to watch him go, and he had, he and Colin both can go at any time, and so the linemen really enjoy blocking for those guys because they're both humble kids, and they know that they're not going to do anything without the guys up front, and so it's pretty fun to watch them work.
And that's the thing, you guys have some playmakers on that side of the ball. You got one sitting between us here, Koleman.
I might have been a pretty good quarterback throwing it to 6'5" over here.
Yep, it's a little bit like my guy Travis Kelsey. If you just put it in the neighborhood, I imagine that Coleman's going to find a way to get those paws on it.
He's got a wingspan and he can jump, and so it makes it a little easier, And I know during the Perryton game, right at the very end, we had a fade ball called, and Coach Newton came by and he's like, "All right, we're going to throw it up," and I looked over there and I was looking for the match, what it looked like, and it was like this.
Yeah,
like, okay, yeah, we're good. Let's do it. So
Coleman, you play on an offense that has some guys on it. Yes, how much has that helped you as a freshman fit in as quickly as you have?
I mean, the leadership those guys have had is absurd. Just Levi Walker, Will Hudson, Nash Gonzalez, those guys just took me under their wing, really just helped me out with anything I needed, and Colton especially, just it's crazy.
And you're kind of a unicorn. There's not many guys high school level that look like you, with, like Coach said, the height and the wingspan. So we'll come back and talk a little bit about Colton Bouchard, the quarterback who's had a really solid season, but is going to have to watch this one with an injury. Hopefully, I don't know what his status is. If you guys do punch a ticket, we'll talk a little bit about that. And Levelland Lobos, Friday night, 7 p.m. at Lobo Stadium on – where's my cheat sheet? 93.1 Yes FM. We'll be back for the final segment of the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the latest news from Liberty Athletics. This is the Patriot Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome into what I think is the final segment of the Patriot Fan Zone. We tried to bolt out of here early.
Yeah, we tried to get out early last week.
That's right. Coleman, you get to hang around for every segment that we're going to be here this week. So Colton Bouchard is out, and I got some verification there. We won't be seeing him again this season in football.
He'll be back probably, I don't know. He'll be back for some basketball.
You didn't mess up that golf swing, did you?
No. He told me today he thinks he'll be able to swing a golf club. So
you don't want to get in trouble with the new golf coach.
No. We broke one of his state champion players, so yeah. He'll be back. He's it wasn't anything that required surgery, so and he actually told me today also that he thought he could probably go back in, and I'm like, you got a broken collarbone.
Yep.
I don't think that would have probably worked out. Your dad probably would have killed us all.
Yeah,
and just seeing the pain, that he was in, and we could tell something was wrong because he's a pretty tough kid.
Now I have heard that that's actually more healable, if that's a word, than if you like. I separated my shoulder as a high school kid, and this is really going to make me sound old, Coleman. When the weather's bad, now I've had reconstructive surgery on it too, but I heard the doctor tell me that you'd have been better off if you'd have broken a collarbone and just let it heal that way. So especially a young kid. We have another freshman that broke his collarbone, and he's got 6 screws in it because it totally displaced. Oh. And Colton's was just a fracture. So it was. So Cy Leach steps in, the quarterback, and you just inform me that is Rick Leach's son. Right. Rick Leach may remember this, that he played Coronado twice his senior year at Odessa High, and I covered both those games, including one that was really nasty weather in the first round of the playoffs. And that, I believe that was Odessa High's first playoff appearance, and he would have to have the information. But they broke I think Larry Gatlin was the quarterback the last time they. The Larry Gatlin? That's an old country singer, Coleman. Yes. Wow. So Rick's got a little bit of football DNA to him, too, and you said that Grandpa, I'm going to make you feel old, too. Yeah, he was, I guess he played at WT also, so there's some genes there. Yep. That's good. The thing about Cy, he's a really smart kid, and he's got a big football IQ, and Colton can. I want Coleman to talk about why he's Coleman confident. Can tell you about how he's, what kind of ball he throws. Is he a freshman? He's also a freshman? Yes, sir. So tell me why you're confident that he steps in and you guys will be okay. I mean, just from the games I played on JV, he's goes through all of his reads, makes the right play, throws a very catchable ball, puts it in the right spot, and also he's got some speed under him. So yeah, he can get away from you if you're not ready. Colton does a good job of talking to him. During practice, he's hey, you need to do this or that, and Cy's been very receptive to having Colton around, and so. Because Colton was good for tough yards for you guys. Yeah, when he ran the ball, you knew you were going to get something. He's kind of the same way. He's kind of sneaky. I mean, he's not gonna get on the track and wow you with the 40 time, but he can chew up some yards pretty quick. And that's the same way that Cy is. Cy's a good runner, and he can get away from you if you don't pay attention to him. Well, and we talked earlier today, weather forecast looks like it's going to be a little rainy, a little misty, a little soggy maybe. Some good football weather. Finally. You excited about that part of that possibility? Yes, sir. Take pride in blocking. That's what he told me on the way in. It finally feels like football season. It's not 92 degrees at kickoff. So I'm from Kansas originally. This is about the second week of September. It's like this, so. Yeah, so we're all excited about it. I know Coach Newton loves the cold weather, and Coach Tolliver, they like the cold weather. I'm kind of. You're from Perryton, where Perryton, this is like. Oh, I'll have on enough clothes. I'll be warm. Coach had a hat on today, like he was covering. Well, I thought it was going to be a lot colder than it was before we went out. Oh yeah. So, there's a lot of things you can call me, but usually cold's not one of them. I'm going to wear enough clothes. Well, you don't have enough meat on your bones to get. The golf kids always made fun of me that I was going skiing. I'm like, well, whatever it takes. Well, real quick, we're coming up on the end here. I asked you this earlier. We'll just make it 2 instead of 3. What are 2 things you guys have to do against Levelland for us to be sitting here next week about you getting ready for the playoffs? You want to answer that one? Sure. I mean, I think us going and running the ball down there, that'll be a big thing. Blocking good, but also having the ability to throw the ball, even with Cy Leach as our quarterback. I mean, that'll be a huge thing for us. What about defensively, Joe? What's one thing you got to do on that side of the ball? We're going to have to tackle better. Yep. That's the one thing that has kind of stood out a lot for us over the course of the year is that and we've improved a lot from the beginning, but I think that's what we got to do better. And they will take aim at that Friday night, 7 p.m., Lobo Stadium. That'll be on 93.1 Yes FM, Liberty at Levelland. We'll talk to you next week on the High School Fan Zone.